Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Monday, Lock Shoppers. Happy Monday, Cool Betters. Nielson and Hus back with you once again on the Nielson Media Cool Bet Network. The Lock Shop provided to you, of course, every day by our great partners at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you do. Late night tonight, just one game, but it's a big one. Game 7. We'll get to that. A couple games on the hardcourt here, Hus, but what a bloody weekend do we have to recap. Amazing.
Oh, you mean you just want to get into the Jets player interviews and have a day off and go? Yeah, it was a interesting weekend here. Let's just say we've got a lot to talk about on Winnipeg Sports Talk today at 1. However, the Jets, unfortunately, were not playing on the weekend, but those teams that were gave us some absolute dandies. Congratulations, the Leafs, 19 years in the making. Congratulations. There's a whole generation of fans that don't know what round 2 is like. They'll feel it coming up this week. But man, to me, it was all about last night. The floor and speaking of the Jets, big weekend for former Jet head coaches because Paul Maurice and the Panthers got past the Bruins in a stunning upset, and Dave Lowry, who finished as the Jets head coach last year, and the Seattle Kraken are off to the second round after beating the Colorado Avalanche. I'm having a hard time deciding which one is more surprising. I think big picture, the Boston Bruins not winning their first round series probably is at the top of the list just because of the historic nature of their incredible regular season. But I got to tell you, man, the Seattle Kraken, I mean, what a story. First team ever to beat the defending champs in their first expansion team in their first time to the playoffs, moving on to the second round, doing it without Jared McCann, their 40-goal scorer who was knocked out on that cheap shot from Cale Makar earlier. I mean, it really was absolutely incredible. And back to Boston for a minute, I cannot help but think, and I was talking about it with friends all weekend long, Game 5, 3 seconds left or whatever it was, Brad Marchand in on a breakaway.
Yes,
he scores there. The Bruins win in 5 and are chilling, getting ready for the Toronto Maple Leafs this week. And it just shows what Stanley Cup playoffs is all about. Even on a 1-8 series, the margin of victory can be so microscopic. And one save from Bobrovsky gave them an extra life. They got the OT win and just built on it from there. And it's going to be and we're going to get into the round 2 series tomorrow.
Full-blown round 2 preview episode tomorrow.
We'll have all the lines up on Coolbet, but that's going to be a very interesting series with the Panthers and the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
And obviously we've still got Game 7 tonight to get to, but I mean, where are you on that? I mean, the loss of the Avalanche, I mean, they were undermanned. They had some issues. Boston losing is just almost inconceivable. But
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm surprised in different ways. Like, I guess Colorado, I could see it, but I'm surprised that it was Seattle. You know, with the way that Colorado played great down the stretch, but they weren't even that team in this series. I mean, the Chushkin thing and the guys out and were not available to them. On the other side, I'm surprised because of Boston, right? Like in the West, I'm surprised because it was Seattle that got it done, not that Colorado lost. On the other side, I'm surprised that it was Boston. I mean, Boston had a phenomenal regular season. Now, it's a very interesting discussion around the Florida Panthers, who were not at the same level, but the Florida Panthers the best team in the regular season last year in the National Hockey League. What happened? Playoff failure, right? Now they go out and make significant changes. Huberdeau gone, and these guys gone, and Tkachuk has been brought in. But you look at that Florida team, man, and I know Leafs fans are like, phew, don't got to play the Bruins. And I know the Leafs I think they're like a minus 175 favorite or something in this series. And like we said, we'll break it all down tomorrow. But the Florida Panthers, buddy, they've got Barkov on one line with Verhaeghe, who scored 40, and Anthony Duclair. Then they can run Tkachuk on the second line, and then they got Sam Reinhart on the third line with those 2 young Finnish kids. So it's if they get goaltending, that's very much a series. That's going to be a high-scoring, pound the over type of series. I can't wait to do it, but if Toronto takes Florida lightly early in this series because they're not the Bruins, Florida Panthers will bite them. Like they got to be ready for that series to start. I think it's going to be great.
Well, and again, we'll spend more time on this tomorrow. I haven't really made a pick or dug too deep into it, but I mean, as I said, I mean, this series win was 19 years in the making. I mean, there was so much pressure on everyone in that organization, and I think it can go one of two ways. It can sort of give them the confidence that they could beat anybody. I mean, that's a hell of a team that they finally got over the hump and beating Tampa.
Or
there also could be, you know, a bit of a letdown in the fact that, you know, you're not playing the Boston Bruins, which everyone thought that was going to be. You are the favorites in this series as opposed to, you know, being a team that everyone thought was, you know, had a great season, but man, it really sucks you're in that division because second round you're going up against the best team in hockey. It will be absolutely fascinating. And then who had Seattle Dallas as a second round match?
I had Dallas, but Seattle was not. And I like Dallas in that series too, man. I'm sorry, Jake Ottinger. Dallas going to be tough for whoever comes out of this other series. Now, the Kraken, I don't want to take anything away from them. They beat Colorado. They could certainly beat Dallas. But Dallas, better goaltending, healthier, a nice mix of veterans and that next generation of Dallas stars forwards. I like Dallas a lot. I think I'll be on them in that series. But first round of the playoffs, man, it lived up to the hype yet again. And we still got that Game 7 tonight between two bitter rivals.
Yeah, and just one thing on goaltending in Seattle. It was crazy how Seattle was able to do what they'd done all year when their goaltending had been mediocre at best. Yeah. It wasn't in this series. Philip Grubauer stepped up with probably the best hockey that he's played as a member of the Kraken in these 2 years up against his old team and made him pay. And if Grubauer plays the way he did in that next round, as the Kraken do, you know, Jake Ottinger is going to have to be really good. That being said, he is really good. So we'll get to that. But yes, as you mentioned, we're still waiting for one more team to arrive in the second round, and we'll find out tonight after Game 7 between the Devils and the Rangers.
I'm going to bring up our picks here right away, but just quickly, it's funny you mentioned Grubauer. Right now in the NHL playoffs, Jake Ottinger, 4-2 with a .929 save percentage, a 2.01 goals against average. Grubauer, 4-3, .926 save percentage, and a 2.44. So both of those guys have had excellent playoffs so far. So that should be really good. And that does bring us to tonight. And Hus, are you siding with the Rangers because of the goalie, or what's the main driver? Because you're on the under in the Rangers. I'm thinking the Devils have a problem here against Shesterkin tonight.
Yeah, you know, when the Rangers have won their games, basically they've scored a goal, or I guess they had two in the last game, but one was late. Full disclosure, I think I've been wrong on this series, on this game, like the games in this series 5 of 6 times. I picked the Rangers at the beginning. I thought that it would be close, and at the end of the day, I said, you know, Shesterkin is the guy. Schmidt's been incredible though since he's been in. Although they did get to him in the last game. He will start Game 7 tonight. But I really do think that the Rangers, the experience level of the Rangers, both from personnel and Gerard Gallant, and most importantly, the guy between the pipes, is going to be what gets them through. As I said, you know, I had a future on the Rangers that we're still waiting to see what happens on this series. But I think that their path to victory is keeping this really tight, not giving the Jersey Devils a lot of room to skate, not giving them a lot. And the offense will come for them when they have their opportunity. Maybe just take advantage of that power play with all the talent that they have right now. But I mean, I see like sort of a 3-1 game for the Rangers, sort of where I'm looking at it. So I'll take the under 5.5 as well, which is a little bit juice to the under. Certainly the bookies think that is where it's at. You know, with only one game, we want to sprinkle a couple other things in.
Yeah.
One guy that I know that the Rangers can count on is Chris Kreider. I know he didn't have the 50 burger goals that he did last season, but, you know, in the playoffs, he's already had a few big ones, and he always seems to be around and a huge, huge difference maker in the biggest games in the postseason. So I'll put a little sprinkle on Kreider at plus 165, but, you know, home ice has meant absolutely nothing in this series. I believe the road teams are 4-2 so far in this game, in this series going into tonight. And when the Rangers have won, especially in Jersey, on at least 2 of occasions, they only gave up 1 goal. So I'm thinking that is exactly what we're going to see tonight. I'm going to ride with the Rangers on the money line. I'll touch the under 5.5. And if we're looking for a little goal prop, let's take one plus 165 on Chris Kreider to get one tonight.
I like everything you laid out about the Rangers is kind of my thought process. But every time I've thought about the Rangers in this series, I've got it wrong. So I'm just like, the Rangers open the series. I'm sitting there going, oh, man, they're way too experienced. This is it for the Devils, like a nice first taste. And then, the Devils get a couple back. And then I go in game 5. I'm like, oh, well, the Rangers, they're going to get back now. They don't. The Devils get it again. So I'm going to kind of go against my gut here tonight and say the New Jersey Devils find a way to get it done. They've surprised all of us all season. I mean, all season long, I was like, oh, man, what's up with that? New Jersey going to come back down? New Jersey going to come back down? They got a ton of skill. They've got this goaltender who this is a really big moment for him. So I'd be a little bit nervous about that, which is one of the reasons I'm on the over here, because the Devils can score goals, right? If the Rangers are going to pop a couple past the young kid, then I do think the Devils have the ability to fire right back with some of the high level skill that they've got here. So I'm going to go on the exact opposite side of this, which is going against the game a little bit for me, because I look at the Rangers and go, oh, this should be a Rangers game, but I've screwed that up basically this entire series. So I'm going to take the Devils money line minus 117, the over 5.5, and maybe a 4-2-ish type of game. And how about this? Timo Meier does not have a point yet in this series. It's going into game 7. The deadline day pickup has nothing. So it's minus 133. You could take him to get a goal if you want. But I'll go with Timo Meier point at minus 133 tonight. And the classic deadline acquisition pays off in the most important time type of storyline. It might even sprinkle a goal just because of that. So, yeah, New Jersey on the money line to continue to surprise me at minus 117, and I'll go the over 5.5 tonight. And what should be a really good game. I'm very much looking forward to this, buddy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as I said, I'm kind of with you. I mean, we have not had a good feel for this series. So
this one and that Kraken Avs series, they both were nuts to us. Like,
someone's going to get a win tonight on this one. But, you're right. I mean, they're different teams. Jersey's a lot younger. They're so much faster. But when it comes down to things like game 7, I'm not sure that the, experience in goal. Certainly, listen, Lindy Ruff's been around for a long time, too. It's not like he's an inexperienced head coach. But, the job for Lindy, I think, is a lot harder for the Devils, especially after, losing game 6 the way they did. But again, they earned home ice in this. They're going to be at home. Jersey or Newark will be rocking tonight.
Yep.
Should be a lot of fun. A bit of a later start today, actually. 7:00 Winnipeg time, I guess 6:00 where you're at. So just for the one game, they're going to get down as many sets as possible.
A couple of NBA games tonight as well. Quiet night in the NHL. NBA second round already underway. The Suns are already down a game to the Denver Nuggets. Sixers and Celtics begin tonight, Hus, and we're both going to get on the Suns here in a classic bounce back, wake up call and game. That should be a good series. I mean, the Nuggets were the best team in the conference all year, and Jamal Murray is just doing extraordinary things right now. But the Suns are too talented to go quietly here in these first 2 games, I think.
Yeah, they got down early and sort of waved the white towel in game 1. I think they gave KD a little bit more time on the bench, knowing that they were going to need to come back with a much, much bigger performance in this game tonight, in game 2, to avoid being down 2-0. Listen, being down 2-0 still is not going to be the end of the world. We saw the Warriors come back against the Kings in that same fashion. By the way, Steph Curry yesterday,
my God. Yeah, I think 7. They say 50 burger in game 7. Come on.
That was insane. But I do think that the Suns, come back. I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game outright. But if we're going to get 4.5 points on the spread, I'm going to take the points on the underdog. As far as this game tonight, I mean, usually with teams like Boston and Philadelphia, with a number approaching double digits, I'd probably take the visitors. I'm not going to, though.
I was a little surprised that you didn't. When I saw that Celtics minus 9.5, I was like, that's very un-Hus-ish,
It is, but listen, I think Joel Embiid is so important to the Sixers. And without Embiid, I mean, it's all hands on deck on Philly. And this is a weird thing, and it has nothing to do really with the Celtics, but I think the loss of the Bruins last night, in a lot of ways, focuses everything in on the Celtics in this series tonight. And I think Boston sport fans need a big win tonight, a confidence-building win by the home team tonight. I can really see the Celtics flooring it tonight against the Sixers and really trying to put this team away before this series even gets going. I mean, I'm not sure when and if they expect Embiid to be able to return later on in the series. But when you're taken out in the NBA, when you're missing your best player, your most impactful player, there's a price to be paid for that. And that's why I think the Celtics kind of have their way with the Sixers, at least in game one, to get going tonight.
Yeah, Embiid had a little bit of a shoot around today. Doubtful for game one. They're not going to play him in game one, I would think. But 9.5 is still a huge number. If for like the Sixers are not a one-man team that snuck into the playoffs and have some. The Sixers were a very good team all year. If you look actually at their scoring so far, I mean, all we're ever going to talk about with the Sixers is Embiid and Harden. You're going to talk about Embiid and Harden. Tyrese Maxey leads the team in playoff scoring with 21.8 points, and Tobias Harris is second with 20.3 points. Then you've got Joel Embiid, who had 20 points per game in the 3 games that he played, and James Harden at 17.3. So this is not just the James Harden and Joel Embiid show. Embiid's a huge part of it. Obviously, he's an MVP type of guy. But they've got a couple of other guys who can score the basketball as well. And when you're looking at a 3-possession spread here, at least, that's a big number. So I think the Sixers can score the ball well enough without Embiid to keep it close. I don't think they'll win tonight. I think the Celtics, it'd be very disappointing for the Celtics if you can't get the win tonight without Embiid. But I do think the Sixers, the way that they play and how those guys attack, I think that number just inside 10 is really big. So you just usually don't see that in the second round of a playoff matchup. So yeah, I'm going to go on the Sixers plus 9.5 here.
Listen, it speaks to just how important Embiid is to the Sixers. I mean, if he's in this, I don't know, is maybe 3.5?
Yeah, I think at least. I wouldn't be surprised if it's inside 3, buddy.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But here's the other thing. And if we were talking about a game 5 or game 6 and we'd already had a bunch of games, I'm probably not feeling as strongly about the Celtics cover. I just do think that, especially if they do get down in the series and the game is sort of getting away from them, I think they, much like we saw the Suns do in game 1, kind of call off the dogs, keep guys as rested as possible for game number 2, and see if you can come back better with a bit more of a full lineup. But I can tell you there's a lot of fans there in Beantown that are hoping the Celtics can have a big one tonight because they are hurting from what happened last night.
They got to get something. So yeah, and hopefully it's not the Red Sox. That's the last thing you want here is the Toronto Blue Jays get ready to face them. But we'll see what happens on the. I love that we're talking NBA, man. I talk NBA all the time. We got lots of hockey, obviously, to get to, and Tuesday morning Tuesday morning, basically Tuesday at noon hour for you guys. We'll have a full blown round 2. We'll take a look at all the series, give you our thoughts on the games for Tuesday night. It'll be a nice sort of reset, Hus, to get ready for round 2 tomorrow.
Well, for sure. And, I was just thinking, when you do your bracket at the start and and you just naturally kind of lean on these higher seeds over and over again. Where am I going to find the upset? Or is a 3 over a 2 really a big upset? Let's just think about some of the upsets that we've seen so far in the first round of the playoffs. The Panthers were a huge underdog against the Bruins. The Kraken were an even bigger underdog against the Colorado Avalanche. And then you had the Miami Heat, which was a way bigger underdog than either of those 2 teams in the puck side of things win. How about this for the second round of the NBA? You got it started off with a 1 seed through to 8 on each side.
Yep.
There's 1 seed left, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7, and 1, 8.
Oh,
left.
wow. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, because the Warriors are a 6, Lakers are a 7, and then the Heat would be the 8. Yeah.
Heat are an 8, Knicks were a 5.
Yeah. Huh. Man, has that ever happened before? I would say that's probably hasn't
doubt
happened
it.
before.
I
Like,
mean, I doubt it. Like in the NBA, like 8 seeds winning is so rare. 7 seeds winning is so rare. This would have to be unprecedented.
Well, and home teams in the NHL playoffs are 18-31. Road teams have won 13 more games. So nothing makes sense right now. But
so
overall, I would say,
season.
Yeah, exactly. I would say first round of the NHL playoffs was a success for the lock shop. I think I almost made it 3 Oilers exclusives in a row. I needed one more Draisaitl point on Saturday night, or else that would have been 3 in a row to end that series. So overall, Hus, I'd like to say we're sitting pretty after the first round here, buddy, and get ready for what should be a very interesting second round.
Well, you got it. I mean, I guess first off, we're going to find out who is going to be playing against the Carolina Hurricanes. And it is funny. I mean, we talked about all these teams that loaded up, that did everything at the deadline. And here are the Hurricanes, the team that got through first on the East, that are still waiting for their next opponent, that actually look to be in pretty good shape.
Even though they're missing guys, right? Like keep dropping. No Svechnikov, no Teravainen, Pacioretty. They never really had. The only deadline addition they made was Jesse Puljujärvi, and yeah. I mean, I still have my doubts about goaltending in Carolina, but it'll be a good series, whoever they face coming out of this.
I had doubts on goaltending in Edmonton when I saw Stewie Skins with that. I guess, granted, that wasn't
broken
on him.
Stick.
That was a broken stick.
Yeah.
But holy smokes, like that.
You should have seen it. I was at a place called MKT with my Alzheimer's teammates from this hockey tournament this weekend. That place went silent. Like nobody could believe what just happened until we got on Twitter after and saw that like the stick was broken, because they didn't really do a good job of that right on the broadcast. But yeah, man, that was wild. And then Yamamoto scores, of all people, had a horrible series, scores the winner. So yeah, interesting times, buddy.
Well, it's going to be good times. And by the way, for those, I am not one of these people that says when my team goes out, oh, I'm just cheering for a Canadian team. In fact, I'm the opposite, like many people are. But the odds on favorites right now to meet in the Cup final, Toronto Maple Leafs, Edmonton Oilers. I'm not sure if that would be a disaster for US TV, although with the star power with those two
McDavid
teams,
versus the Maple Leafs,
I don't think it would be a bad thing for the National Hockey League. And certainly there's some excited executives at TSN and Sportsnet right now, knowing that they've still got the Leafs. They've still got McDavid to talk about. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, tomorrow, full round 2 preview here on the Lock Shop. I can't wait to get after it. But in the meantime, enjoy Game 7 tonight.